Wait, what are we here doing? I don't know, are we recording?
BattleBots is back.
What? Welcome back. Season 3? You're bringing sexy back. Season 4? Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Tale of the Tape 2 years later.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We've gone to a different network. We had reruns on the Science Channel that led to a new season on Discovery and Science.
It's really a great home for the show.
Yeah, everything's different this time. There's new robots. There's a new format. This time, there's a lot of new robots. And instead of the typical tournament bracket, we have fight cards instead. So every robot fights more or less 3 or 4 robots, and they are ranked based on those fights. And the top 16 get into the top 16 bracket at the end of the season.
So that's huge because that means that it's no longer single elimination. So sometimes, especially in seasons 1 and 2, we saw some robots get off to a tough start and they got eliminated. But this year they would get a second or third chance to make it back in the tournament.
Absolutely. There will also be a special Despacito tournament in the middle of the season that is going to be all the robots that feel like they've been down on their luck. They're going to fight it out for actually the 16th spot in the top 16. So they'll have a freebie through the rest of it.
So let's get right into it. Episode 1. Here's the fight card.
We had some great fights in this episode. Great first episode for the new season. Obviously, Tombstone and Minotaur are fighting, and it's the fight that everyone's wanted to see forever, but no one's had the opportunity to match up. And one of the different things about this season is the production gets to decide who fights. So you get fights like Minotaur versus Tombstone.
So we won't do a recap of the fight because we're trying to cover 5 episodes in this Tale of the Tape. But we do want to show you some stuff that wasn't really highlighted on the show. So as you can see in this picture here, all those hits that they were tossing back and forth were so big that Minotaur's frame actually cracked.
Yeah, on both sides. They had to spend, 3 or 4 days re-welding all the parts, welding giant chunks of aluminum onto the side just to get it all back together again.
And even Tombstone's frame broken as well.
Yeah.
Just the amount of energy being transferred back and forth between those robots was enough to break both robots in the first minute and a half.
Yeah, it was early on in the tournament. It was the first fight card, and I think it kind of set the tone for how brutal the entire event was going to be.
And that nobody was going to get freebie matches.
No.
They weren't afraid to put the toughest robots against each other.
Yeah, and everyone had to be able to repair.
But that's true because in the old format, everything would be ranked. So Tombstone as a number 1 seed would go up against the lowest seed. Where now, arguably Minotaur would be the number 2 seed. So that's a huge change.
Yeah, big difference. So going in, we also have the first Rumble of the tournament. And this is the first ranked Rumble ever. So with the new format, you can have 2 robots fighting, 3 robots fighting, and it all changes how you're ranked. So we had Mecha Rampage and Duck, new robot from Hal Rucker, and free shipping.
And they actually called this, the Classics tournament, or all the veteran tournament, to say. And so all these builders obviously are very experienced. And Christian Carlsberg came back with Mecha Rampage this year, which is a new robot for him. He basically got tired of building wedge robots, so he came back with a robot that could dish out a lot of damage. And this robot's actually pretty cool because, as you see, the colorful part in the middle is where the weapon bar mounts, and basically that entire thing spins. So he's got, 100 and something pounds of spinning mass on that thing.
A lot. And amp flows and batteries and speed controllers, everything for the weapon system is in that box. So when he spins it up, it's all hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all flinging around, which leads to the problem that we saw.
Of him bursting into flames.
Yeah.
He was on fire for so long.
I know, but the great part about that robot is that as it's driving around, the weapon can be on fire, whatever, and the drivetrain, which is just on the outside pods, can keep moving around just fine. Which leads to awesome fight videos.
And he really dished out some really real damage against free shipping specifically.
Yeah, they took a solid chunk out of free shipping's front end. You don't really get to see a whole lot of it just because there's so much fire. Maybe I'm getting a hunch that free shipping's fire is more a cloaking device, just because it's so massive you can't actually see when things hit it.
Distraction, damage, distraction.
Oh yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
And this was the first lipo fire of the tournament.
Oh yeah.
So Trey got to come in his, let's call it a space suit and the arena extractors and kind of take all the fumes out of the box for the first time, but not the last time for sure.
No, he got really friendly with that suit. So bonus content, we had an extra fight on Science Channel. So with the new format, we get a new episode on Fridays, and then on the following Wednesday on Science Channel, we get the whole episode plus an extra little segment. So we got Kraken versus Sharkoprion versus Deviled Egg. And Mike, you were putting it really well earlier. This is basically what BattleBots wants.
Right, a bunch of basically art bots in the arena fighting it out. You got two robots that are essentially big animals, and a small, very artistic drum bot that's got a lot of flash. And it was really, really great fight. And these are, cool robots that I think BattleBots kind of wants to gravitate towards.
Yeah, the Deviled Egg was no joke. It had basically the same drivetrain and
As
weapon system
Minotaur.
as Minotaur.
Yeah.
It just looked all gold and shiny.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing about Sharkoprion and Kraken. I mean, these are art bots, like you said, but they have very real weapons too.
Yeah, you were saying there was a V-Tech or
Yeah,
one of those
something like
giant.
that. Sharko, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it was
so-
made out of like scuba tanks, but packed a lot of power in it.
propane tanks.
Propane
Yeah,
tanks.
same motor as a Tombstone or one of those big robots.
But I think these rumbles are a good way to basically give unproven robots a chance to show what they can do and maybe earn their way to a harder fight, because these are all brand new builders to at least a new season of BattleBots.
Right. So moving forward, there was one unaired fight from that episode, Ultimo Destructo versus Valkyrie. There's so many fights, and they're trying to film everything, but even that slipped through the cracks. But Ultimo beat Valkyrie for those interested.
So I think one good thing to note is that we actually filmed 6 fights for every episode, and there's only 5 airing. So every episode, if you're not seeing a bonus fight on Science Channel, there's actually one unaired fight.
So fan questions: does Minotaur have a chance of making the tournament?
That's from Cole Z-Man on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty silly question, Cole Z-Man.
That is your name.
Even though Minotaur lost against Tombstone, it's Minotaur. I think he's got a great chance of making the tournament, but we have to wait and see.
But we have to see, because this is not a Minotaur that's going through an easy bracket or even a brand new Minotaur. Now you saw its frame get cracked in half. So it's going to be a handicap Minotaur potentially, although they do have multiple frames.
Right, yeah, so it's handicapped, and this is a good opportunity to talk about this. A lot of teams, us included, had 2 robots, or at least enough parts for 2.
Right.
Minotaur was no exception to that. They had probably 3 robots worth of stuff, boxes and boxes of extra parts. So yeah, they had one of their spare frames, knocked out, but they had literally another one on the table, ready to go.
Which is the drawback to this fight card style. It's definitely a battle of attrition.
A battle of attrition and battle of bank account.
It's a good way to put it.
Episode 2. All right, Yeti versus Witch Doctor. How'd it go?
It went great.
You want to talk about it?
Very briefly. So we actually have a 12-minute detailed breakdown on our YouTube page. I invite you guys to go check that out. We're not going to waste a bunch of time here, but obviously we had some reliability issues and, just a little bit. But yeah, go check out our YouTube video and we talk about it there. So we'll move on to the next fight. Cool. Because I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's fine.
I'm proud of you. All right, Vanquish versus Ice Wave. That was nuts. So what? Okay. Jack Tweedy is not a newbie here. He's been on Robot Wars. He's been doing stuff in the UK for a long time now. It just happens to be his first time on BattleBots. And like everyone else, they were on a really short time frame to get something new together for this event.
And they had a ridiculous shipping date.
Yeah, they had to ship 3 weeks earlier,
Yeah.
something like that. All international teams had to ship 3 weeks earlier. So I think we had 7-8 weeks. So do we have that long? I think so. 7 weeks.
Didn't feel like it.
That was about
It went
7
fast.
weeks. And then,
So they had 5 or 6 weeks to build that robot. So I think that would be impressive. But they drew a tough matchup.
They did. And I thought it was actually going to go the other way there. Yeah, because Ice Wave doesn't like to fight wedges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's funny because Mark, I love you, Mark, but you said, Mark said that he was going to avoid the wedge, and the first thing he did was hit the wedge like 4 times. I didn't get it.
It seemed to work.
In fact, when Vanquish did rip apart, he hit the wedge.
Yeah. Like
So-
the corner, though.
Yeah, so what the hell, Mark?
Like typical strategy, you go in with a plan and everything just goes to hell in the
Yeah.
first 2 seconds.
Sure. But it worked out for him because Vanquish fell apart. So
Yeah, the weld broke. They got it back together.
amazingly,
Yeah,
thanks
But-
to the Lincoln Electric guys out there. But
yeah, but it was brutal to watch. It's it was great for us, but all right. So yeah, you guys are here. So you want to talk about Rotator Petunia?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Team Revolution here. I'm Victor and this is Gary, for you guys who don't know.
They're Team Rotator.
No, everyone thinks.
It says so on our shirt, Mike. Come on. I mean,
So you're wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
Crazy,
no.
right?
I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
Yeah,
No one
it's
reads it.
okay.
Yeah, so we went up against Petunia, who's a very tough Dutch robot. And we didn't really know what to expect, but we saw their frame. We went and inspected their robot up close. And I thought, damn, that's a lot of armor.
It's all armor.
It's
Pretty
all
much.
like 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch hard ox steel as well. And it's just freaking tank. So we came into this fight and we said, let's just go with offensive mode. We had heard that that they had about 10 metric tons of crushing power. We said, well, there's no armor that we have that can really resist that, so whatever, let's just go fight.
Yeah.
And we went and we did well for the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, we got a few hits and it was great.
Yeah, first 10 seconds, everything was working, and I think around the first pinch, we saw smoke coming out, and I'm thinking, oh god, they got our batteries. But it ended up being just our speed controllers, which is fine, they're replaceable. Batteries are a lot more of a pain to replace if those go out. And when it became a shoving match, there's no chance. Rotator basically has 2 slippery things on each side that you can't really push
Yeah.
with. And
We're kind
it's
of a
just-
long robot. We don't have that down pressure force.
yeah, so without the weapons, we can't do much. So credit to Petunia, they did some great driving there, and they got us at the end. And I can see in this picture, close up of our tire, they got us right over the kill saw when they had us pinched, and they trimmed down our tire. Luckily, one of our main upgrades for this year was reducing some of the weight to put more wheel protection on. So you can see that our wheel covers are still there, and we were still able to drive after that. But it just looked really bad for the judge's decision.
Why do you think you needed more wheel protection?
I don't know.
There's this little fight a few years ago. Just it was
It
just
was a very
intuition.
It was over in
It
his
was
life.
this.
Very
Yeah.
brief encounter.
Well, we're just very efficient fighters. That's what it boils down to.
Sure.
God.
It was nice seeing one of our upgrades work, and on top of that, we just decided to paint the robot this year and make it look better. So,
Had a matching jacket though.
had the matching jacket.
Yeah,
no,
super
I'm not
flash.
Derek Young. I'm Victor Soto. My jacket lights up.
But you know, those Petunia guys, they're right. If it ain't Dutch, it ain't much.
Had to give it to them this
Nice.
time.
Those guys are pretty
There you go,
scary.
lady.
They're really tall.
And they party hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah,
party really
they're
hard.
pretty intense dancers.
Oh yeah.
More than you? Is that what
You
you learned
saw
your
them.
skills?
You saw them. Happy Hardcore was legit.
I just never saw a one-on-one dance competition with you and the Petunia guys. I mean, that's
They're more of a moshing kind of a crew.
Look up Rainbow in the Sky. It's a song. And blast it in your mom's like minivan or something. And pretend that you're in a ballroom of a hotel in somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And that's
With
what
a
it was
bunch
like.
of Dutch guys.
Yeah, with a bunch of Dutch guys. Like,
Yeah. 7 foot tall Dutch guys.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I
It
felt
was a
like
great
that.
experience.
Felt pretty small.
So after your fight, what was the post-mortem on the robot? Just
Yeah,
speed
so-
controllers?
Fortunately, we didn't have any pictures, but we had both speed controllers burnt out. That seems to be the theme with our robot for now. We had some spares of a different brand and a different power rating that we had never used before, so you swapped those out. They actually punctured our top armor, which you didn't really get to see, so a lot of people think their weapon wasn't working that fight, but it was, but they didn't really get any critical items inside. They actually pinched our gearbox and they pinched the power wire. And it split it in half, but the robot stayed functional. Our speed controllers for the motors, for the weapon motors burnt out. That seemed to be a problem that we had last year and we experienced this year. We had the same speed controllers. We swapped them out to these new ones that we hadn't used before for our next match. And in addition to that, a lot of people couldn't really tell from the episode, but Petunia actually did some damage, and they managed to pierce our 1/4-inch top plate. You can't tell because it was just a tip, and it managed to pinch our gearbox and one of our electrical wires. But luckily, the electrical wire got split in half and didn't get cut, so we were still fully functional at the end. But they did manage to shave down one of our wheels, and that just looked bad. So, judge's decision, Petunia. Tough robot.
Yeah, when we were rewatching the episode, we could actually see our frame flex a little bit. I mean, they definitely had pushing force down on top of us. Luckily, we were able to flex it right back, but not too much.
Yeah, our frame was a little bent, and we were trying to hammer it back, and we were like, that's not going to work, maybe. We were thinking of calling them to try to bend it back with the rope.
Push it the other way, right?
So, what did you guys change for the next fight?
For the next fight, we didn't do much. We actually just swapped out the speed controllers. We did bang the top plate back in place and re-welded it. We had to replace the wheel. We lost some foam there. But we replaced the speed controllers. We remembered to loosen our weapon belts a little bit so we don't burn them out. And, no problems.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Weapon belts.
Yeah.
We definitely sharpied the top plate too to get that nice matte black finish.
That's how you do it.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's got to look good.
That's what
It's got to look good in the arena. Yeah.
This video is sponsored by Sharpie.
Wipe off all the
Yeah, give us my
left and the nicks and cuts, you know. Just
All right. That concludes episode 2. So episode 3, a great episode, great fight card.
Really off to a good start.
Yep.
Great fights in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
HyperShock versus Bite Force really just sticks out in my mind as being one of the good ones. Said it was a good one.
I want to talk about it, Mike.
Said it was a good one, Will. Calm down. Calm down. Deep breaths. So exactly how much test driving did you do before that match?
You know what, Mike? Some of us care about how our uniforms look, and so we don't waste our precious time on driving practice.
I saw a video of it driving, though. Maybe. Before the match.
It did move.
Oh, okay. So what happened in the arena?
Okay, so you might have noticed there may have been some sparks going from the arms to the ground.
I thought that was on purpose.
I wish it was.
Oh.
I wish it was. You see,
I wish it was.
when you have screws that are a little bit too long on your motor terminals, they short out. And you don't notice it because you look too good in your uniforms.
That's
And-
important, though.
Which is important.
Would you say the neon yellow obscured the sparks?
I
That's a good question.
wouldn't say it didn't. I think that it was so bright that it kind of like burned an image into your eyes and you couldn't really tell what was going on.
Not a lot of contrast.
So, right. So between the bright yellow and the bright pink and
The bright pants.
the bright pants, it's just, we done goofed, guys. I'm sorry. We goofed.
So after your inability to drive, basically Bite Force
Yeah.
easily handled you.
Yes. Oh,
Overstepped my bounds, I'm sorry.
everything's fine. We had some mishaps. We were driving around, and because of the sparks, there was a lot of interference, and it was very twitchy. So, like, I would tell it to go left, and it would say, "No, I'm not doing that, and I'm going to do whatever I want." So it just kind of was driving itself, and it was twitching around and doing these things. And then Paul said, "Oh, I see you're having a problem. Let me hit the emergency stop button." Luckily, he knew that all you have to do is take the top off and everything flies out, which is great because that was really awesome of him.
At least he only hit you twice.
Yes, you did hit us twice. And you know what? It's fine because everything came out so lovely. Yes, you did hit us twice. And you know what? It's fine
Did he
because
back the
everything
wiring
came
that
out
he
so
took off
lovely
your robot?
that nothing was damaged.
Oh, he's a gentleman.
Did he back the wiring
Yeah,
that
he
he
gave
took
it back,
off your robot?
and I replaced him
Oh, he's a gentleman.
because it was real. All right, we're done. I'm not talking about it.
Okay. So the next fight, Overhaul versus SawBlaze, MIT versus MIT.
Yeah, they just like friends fighting each other.
I mean, this fight really shows that SawBlaze is not messing around. You know, SawBlaze came out really strong.
Yeah, like have you seen the photo of it cutting straight through the motor? Here you go.
That one.
So, so SawBlaze cut through the motor the hard way.
Yeah,
I would say.
and the frame.
Yeah, and the frame. So Overhaul could not bite by the end of the match because it just went straight through. That saw
and
is serious.
that's one of many very deep cuts on
Yeah.
Overhaul.
That saw is scary.
SawBlaze is no joke.
Yeah. Not that long ago would you have said that SawBots were a joke, that weren't worth your time, and it would have been like one of the stupid things that we all laugh about, like, oh, what if you put a saw on?
We take Saw
yeah.
robots very seriously.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well then.
And SawBlaze is actually pitted like right next to us, or two down. So we
Yeah.
got to see Jameson's robot up close. It's a pretty scary machine.
Yeah,
It's huge too.
he's got the same amount of power that like we have in our weapon system in his saw.
And a
It's just-
diamond tipped saw.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's pretty cool. I don't want to fight it, that's for sure.
You know who I wouldn't want to fight though?
By force.
No.
Oh.
4 Horsemen.
Oh, please no.
Buttercup, man. Well, Buttercup single-handedly won the whole thing. I don't know how, but it did.
So another Rumble, right?
Yeah, another Rumble. A
4
lot of
Horsemen,
robots in this.
Double Jeopardy and Gamma 9. Double Jeopardy is the first robot of its kind to
Yeah.
have what would you call it?
A
Cannon.
It's a
A
cannon.
cannon, yeah, it's a cannon.
It's a legit cannon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cannon.
And it's like made out of giant pieces of tube, like tubing from the
Like black
Home
iron,
Depot,
I think.
But like it's legit.
And they really spent a lot of time perfecting that cannon too. I mean, it's not something they just slapped together. We have here some test video that shows you just how many times they actually fired that and practiced shooting at targets, and you know they
When
are
did they have
serious.
time?
I think they've actually been developing this even before the season was announced.
I think you're right. Show
They,
off.
do they just open a gate with that thing?
Yeah.
So they can break and enter into people's houses,
Yeah.
essentially.
Well, what else do you do in the off season?
So they're shooting what, like a multi-pound
They're
steel slug, right?
shooting a steel slug that's like 2 inches diameter, 3 inches long.
Yeah, it's pretty
it's,
big.
It's not messing around.
Yeah.
But they were nerfed.
What do you mean?
You don't know what nerfing means?
They don't shoot Nerf guns. Nerf balls. What?
Okay.
What?
In a shooter game, when the developers decide that one gun is too good, they nerf it, right? So they
Oh.
make it less good.
Detune it?
And yeah,
Oh,
and so in
okay.
this case, they nerfed Double Jeopardy
Because it was too good, or because it was a safety issue?
well, it's because of the safety issue.
Oh.
So yes.
Yes on both.
And so they kind of hit the wall that we've all kind of predicted would be there for cannon robots, which is if you build a cannon that's good enough to do damage, chances are they won't want it in the box because the box won't be able to handle it. So they did lots of testing inside the arena. They have a video of it on their Facebook page. You should go check it out. They did have some bigger slugs that they were going to shoot, and they were going to shoot at higher pressure. So they could have dialed it up, but they couldn't.
They were not allowed
Their
to.
hands were tied.
And it's a single shot, right?
Right, yeah. And so you're sitting around with one shot in your whole robot, and you look at the thing, it's, yeah.
So we have a question. The question is, why is it called Double Jeopardy? And not because it has 2 shots, that's for sure. Because it's a law term, right? Like you can't be convicted for the same crime twice.
Yeah.
Something like that. These guys are all lawyers, so you know they're pretty slick. What they
I
are?
don't know, man.
Well, also two of the teammates are actually twins and their dad, so that's why their team names Double Trouble and Double Jeopardy kind of plays into that.
See, I like that answer better. Yours is all like weird.
Sorry.
Anyway, so it's a really cool robot, but as a result of them building around a super heavy-duty weapon that was, detuned, they had one shot, and they shot straight into Gamma 9, and then they spent the rest of the fight, with basically no armor, limping around trying to run away, and then the 4 horsemen nibbled their wheels off.
Yeah, they don't have much armor because they're, I guess that all that cast iron.
Yeah,
weighs a
all
lot,
those
so.
pieces of pipe are like giant cast iron pieces of pipe. So they already have plans for making a new version with lots of armor, and it's a little bit more heavy duty.
I wonder if the robot actually weighed in at 250 or ish. If it was severely underweight.
I remember them saying something about the mass of the whole cannon system, and it was over 100 pounds. So I believe.
Interesting.
And it had amp flows in it like everyone else. And
6 big
pulses.
drives.
It's a real robot.
So we have a fan question for you, Will. It's from J4 Racing on Instagram. Can HyperShock rip a massive burnout with those race car tires?
It's funny you should ask. Because we, like you said, we did actually get the robot running before the match. We have a video of it. It was actually pretty great. This was the first time that we saw the robot work at all. And it was doing little donuts around and doing endos and stopping and going. And you could like put it up against the wall of the arena and just do a burnout, and it would eat through the floor, and you get like a rooster tail of rubber and detritus. It was awesome.
That sounds both awesome and terrible.
It's not about the longevity of the tires. It's about the fun you have on the longevity of the tires. As a drifter, you should know this.
It's true. Tires are definitely,
They're expendable.
yeah, they're expendable.
We went through at least a tire every match.
And you have a tire sponsor, right?
Right, yeah. So Vega Tires sponsored us. They gave us all the tires. The tires actually held up really well. It was the rims that didn't last so well, because every time we bounced, you'll notice that HyperShock is very bouncy this season. Every time it bounced on one of the corners, it would dent the rim. So we just have to take the wheel off and toss it because it's useless.
Good thing it wasn't, you were running the air, right? You were running some kind of foam.
Right, so we filled it with foam. We tried a couple different versions, and we ended up with some super light, smooth-on foam that we liked. And I think it was great for grip, and so performance-wise, it was really awesome. Just it's a little too bouncy, so we gotta work on that.
Cool. I mean, that wraps up episode 3.
Yeah. Episode 4. It was a good one. It was the first time we see Monsoon.
Monsoon.
Tim has way too much fun
He
with it.
does. That was his one job, to just scream monster.
That was actually why he was allowed on.
And you know what? He nailed it.
Oh, he sends it home every time. That's wonderful. Yeah, so Monsoon versus Red Devil, which is crazy. They had a really good, that hit, this one right here, that was awesome. That's like one of my favorite photos of the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been building robots over Robot Wars for quite some time, and across all over the UK, and Tim has been over in China at some of the Chinese events. So they're not new, but especially for a new robot for this event and untested and all these things, it came out kicking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they pretty much did what we couldn't do to Red Devil. Made pretty quick work of them.
They did what you wanted to
What
do.
I wanted to do.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, look at it. It's just peeled up. What is it even made of?
It really is impressive the amount of damage that they made too. I mean, it looks like it's made out of paper and it's actually, hardened steel.
Yeah, that's AR-400 like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
They got some massive hits.
What is it?
It's a abrasion
it's
resistance
a
steel.
freaking wedge.
It's a freaking wedge.
Right. Yeah, so they got some huge hits on it. I mean, that's AR-400. That was their wedge. And just pieces are gone, and little curlicues are made out of it, and it's just nuts.
And the Red Devil team did an amazing job of actually repairing this wedge. So they didn't have enough parts to make a new wedge.
Can we, hold on, can we acknowledge that Red Devil is not captained by
Jerome.
the original Red
Excellent
Devil
point.
captain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jerome wasn't at the filming. He was at a Chinese event with another robot.
Yeah.
That's just as complicated.
I think it's more complicated.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. That's how that saw. Because
As
it has
if
two
that
saws,
could be.
right?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's possible to add more complication to the robot. But yeah, Ravi and that whole team from Lycan and Buck2 Burl took it over. And did they even see it before the event?
I don't think so.
So they showed up to the event, not knowing how the robot worked, and taught themselves how to drive it.
One of the most complicated robots there.
The most complicated robot there.
And then you have this match where you're going to be doing repairs to almost every system on the
Yeah,
robot.
it's
Well, they took off the forks, the grabbing
that
forks,
was a good.
put on the wedge for this match. Obviously, Monster's got the big weapon, so I think it was a good call.
Oh, it was the right call, but
But
what you
obviously,
gotta do.
Monsoon decimated that thing. So Not much
Battle
more to
Royale.
say about that.
Yeah, Battle Royale.
Battle Royale versus Tantrum.
I think they may have the better uniforms.
You know,
Battle
I
Royale.
don't think we can compete with. I mean,
Well, I
they're
know I can't.
condiments.
They're food items.
No,
Like,
I
yeah.
really admire their team though, because they're coming with, you know, first time robot builders at this scale. You know, they haven't, we've been talking about people that are competing on Robot Wars. They haven't competed on any show anywhere. This is
Yeah.
their first big robot that they've ever built.
Right. No, that's not to say that they don't know what they're doing.
No,
Like,
no,
you know,
but-
some like Miles worked at Megabots.
Yeah.
Jen is like a serious welder, and all those people have done other things. They built, Power Wheels racing cars and other stuff. Like, they're not new to welding and cutting and making machines, but they built something cool.
And that burger was beautiful. The metalwork on it was beautiful, the welding.
It was just so nice. Did you see the inside? It was all scalloped and beautiful. You need to go check out their Facebook page and look at the build blog because it is a work of art. There's no doubt about it.
So one thing I want to set the record straight on right away is that Battle Royale with Cheese did successfully spin up before their first match.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like we have a video. So here it is. And once they get it going, I mean,
It's scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cooking. I'd say.
Sizzling, maybe.
Sizzling. Yeah, I mean, is it this video or the other video where it goes so fast that it becomes unstable?
That's the other one.
Okay, here's the other one. There's another video. You should also go to their Facebook page and check out the other video. Maybe it's on their Instagram. That it goes so fast that they actually become unstable and flip up and do the coin trick. So once they got it working, it was
Flipping
great. They were just plagued with problems getting into the arena.
Yep.
You know,
And a lot of problems just from a first year robot, not even because they're a first year team.
yeah, first year robot, short time frame, not a whole lot of testing, just
A lot of people had weird gremlins work perfectly in the test box. You put it in the arena for your match and something weird, you'd have weird radio interference issues, traction issues on the floor.
right.
Like,
All kidding aside, like the problems that we had with HyperShock going against Bite Force, we didn't see the problems at that scale inside the test box, and maybe it's just because of of our particular situation. You didn't see it until you were in a bigger space where you could get up more speed and
Yeah, well,
do
we had
more
the same
stuff.
problem. We did testing in the test box and drew it for 3 minutes and didn't see the problem that we saw in the.
You even tested it
BattleBots.
here before you guys left. You were actually responsible in testing your robot.
Well, you
we
saw
had
how
a
much
little
good
bit
that
of
did
time,
us.
yeah.
Well, maybe you just wasted all those minutes on the.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Tantrum, another really, really cool robot.
Gorgeous
crazy.
robot.
Aaron has way too much time on his hands. Everything he does is just way too nice.
And really, we talked about the first canon on BattleBots, but Tantrum is also a first time design on BattleBots.
Mm-hmm. Leaf spring flipper, actually. So it actually uses electrical brushless motors to pull down through a lot of reduction, as you guys see there, a titanium leaf spring. I don't know how much force it can generate, but a lot. Enough to flip itself, enough to flip other people. It's a super cool, intricate design. The whole frame is basically two halves of billet aluminum that bolt together.
This was supposed to be a multi-bot, which is my favorite part. So Aaron applied for season 2 of BattleBots, but he was working at Hexbug at the time, so he couldn't work because it was a non-compete issue, and he's no longer working for Hexbug.
I wonder if he quit his job just to do BattleBots.
Answer our calls, Aaron. But yeah, it was supposed to be a multi-bot, and he had been building this as a prototype, and he didn't have time to build another one, so he said, "Screw it! I'm just going to add a whole bunch of armor to it." So you go up to this robot, and it's tiny. It's like this big. It's way too small, but it has like 3/4 of an inch of steel all the way around. You just look at it and like, oh, okay, fine. I can't do anything to this.
It's a tank.
It's a tank.
And I saw that lifter or flipper retracting in the test box. It's terrifying when you see. I mean, it was like, I don't know, 1/2-inch titanium sheet that's pulling down.
Yeah, multiple, I think 1/2 or 3/8 stacked sheets.
So I mean, it looks like it shouldn't flex the way it does. It's
No,
scary.
it's unsettling.
Yeah, there were a few times where they were testing. They were plagued with various mechanical issues, but there was a few times they were testing. They'd pull that thing down and it would actually get stuck down.
Yeah.
What do you do?
They actually had a program to slowly release it
Yeah.
once they. I mean, Aaron thinks about everything, so we
There-
had it
there's
taken
some-
care of.
Crazy black box stuff in there that I don't understand.
magic.
The whole thing is a black box.
It is. I wouldn't want to to be anywhere near that thing. But definitely people pushing the envelope this season with really cool designs, and we hope to see more of that in the future.
And I can't wait to see their second season with these new designs once they get all the bugs worked out, because all these robots are going to be really scary next season.
Yeah.
Now you have plenty of time to test your robot.
Come on, man. You know that's not how I roll. Oh, the unaired fight this episode. Well, there were actually a couple. There was the tag team fight.
Yeah, there was first time ever there was supposed to be a 2v2 tag team fight, and that apparently was a complete fiasco.
You guys saw it as a commercial for Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Or Jurassic World. But what it was a 2v2 rumble, and they told us before this fight, like, okay, well, you guys have to stay. One robot stays in the squares, and then the other goes out, and then they have to come back and tag you in. And you can sit in the square, and your teammate can go out. And if your teammate gets stuck out in somewhere and they can't come back and tag you, they count your team out. And pretty quickly, everyone realized, well, that's not going to work. So it was like a minute in, and just all chaos ensued.
I didn't even see it, but I can imagine. I can imagine that nobody would play by the rules.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't. That's for sure.
There's a reason why they stopped doing this.
Yeah. and another unaired fight, Rotator versus Predator.
Yeah.
And since the Team Revolution guys are here with us, you guys can tell us about that fight.
Yeah, so it was an unaired fight. Yeah, come on in here.
Come on, buddy.
Let's snuggle. Let's snuggle.
Getting close.
Oh, well.
Tell me all about it.
Hey. Yeah, so we had this fight against Predator, robot I wasn't familiar with, but created by the Danny brothers. And
Just bad luck.
I guess I'm a newbie to Robo Wars. I've never seen it, but these guys are really well known.
Yeah.
And I saw the robot. It's beautiful. It's a wolf that is a hydraulic lifter and crusher. So I started good. I went, crap, another hydraulic crusher.
Another tank.
We're
Another
another
robot
one against crushers. I mean,
Another robot that looks just like the one that beat us. And they had half-inch steel wheel guards all the way around. Just solid. Again, another tank. And we're thinking, well, okay, let's just go and hit it and see what happens. And
the good old Yeti maneuver, right?
yeah. And we had some pretty good luck in that fight because I think they were having some problems with their drivetrain. And at the very beginning of the match, they just drove straight toward us and they missed us. They just veered off to the right, and I was like, oh, okay. And we had our own issues. I think we didn't have any traction. We learned with our new wheels. We tried to improve it, and we didn't have any traction. So we're spinning around trying to get to this inanimate object, and we're having a hard time aiming. And we make contact, and we see parts fly, and I'm thinking, oh no, we broke something.
That's the first thing you think, right?
That's the first thing. Because it's the first time we hit something pretty hard. New speed controllers, whatever. And we look at the robot, and they're missing a wheel, and we're like, oh,
We did something!
it's working. So I'm just there spinning around, hitting them, bottom disc, top disc, and it would have been a cool match to see because they have these nice pointy ears, and we gave them a little haircut with the top disc, so they became a sad
You
wolf.
scalped them.
They became a sad wolf after that, and it didn't last too long. I think it was a minute and a half. It was a knockout at that point, but we were freaking excited. We were so happy. It was 2 years of we finally did something. It worked. It didn't break. And I think we got a few extra hits that we shouldn't have. And I think they only ended up with one wheel. But I was so excited. It's just good stuff.
It happens.
You were in the zone.
2 years of pent up rage for some reason, right,
Yeah,
Mike?
for some reason.
Yeah, taking off wheels.
Paying it back.
I
Paying it
forgot.
forward. Yeah. So it was awesome. It was our first one. It didn't air it, but it was a good, quick match. And it proved that our electronics worked and all the fixes that we made after the Petunia fight endured.
We had a good chance to dial it in and show them that we can come back and that we have a solid robot.
You guys are getting a little more confident in the robot at this point too, right?
Yeah, and that's huge. Losing your first fight after 2 years of hearing, hey, you should do something better with your wheels. And
Everybody's always got a suggestion.
and it's just very demoralizing. So every fight gives you a little more confidence. You get some intuition on your robot design. You know what you can and cannot do. I shouldn't go and slam into them full speed with my weapon at full power because I'll.
And you always mention we learn the most whenever we fight, so we just gotta get as many fights in as we can.
Yeah. learn by losing, but you'd rather not have to learn on the fly. Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, it's fun.
All right, so that wraps up episode 4. Wow, you all right, Gary?
I'm just smelling little bales.
Yeah. What's it smell like?
Tune in for the next episode, right? I mean, you want me to tell them that?
Tuna?
No, tune in. You gotta tune in for
Oh,
the next
tune in.
episode. Yeah, I mean, a little bit too.
All right, so I disagree. All right, so that's episode 4.
Episode 5. All right, Yeti versus Ice Wave was the big one on this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't wait to see what Yeti did after, obviously he looked so strong against us. I was expecting the same thing for Ice Wave.
He was strong against Ice Wave in the beginning.
Yeah, but I've never seen Yeti stop working, ever.
I have not either. Yeah.
I think everybody just went silent at that point.
Yeah, I think this is another example of the event being really brutal. Like, you gave damage to Yeti. He didn't come out totally, unscathed from that fight.
Yeah, he worked really hard to get it back together in time for his next fight. He
Right.
actually had to go water jet parts. He lives in Alaska, literally. That's not like a gimmick on the show or anything. He really does live in Alaska. So obviously it's really expensive to get spare parts shipped to Alaska. So he kind of went, as he needed them, he went out and bought the stuff he needed.
Yeah, but I think it kind of shows, and it's just an example of the attrition of this event. Yeti should work fine. We've seen it work fine for a season and a fight now. And top 4 robot last year, solid robot. No one wants to fight it, and it just stops.
Mysteriously. I mean, there were some huge hits.
And I didn't touch it. Like none of my parts are in that robot, so I don't know what to tell them.
No bad luck from you, I guess.
No, it's not my fault.
They were trading some huge hits throughout the match, and Greg didn't want to, but he was forced to put a wedge on there. He hated it. He was embarrassed, rightfully so.
He shouldn't have done it.
Nah, I don't think so.
He should have done it like he fought Tombstone.
Yellow, 100% yellow.
Yeah. Just protect your wheels a little better.
So that's what the problem was. The wedge.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't build wedges, kids.
No wedges.
No. And then you have like a PSA, like, put more in it.
All right.
That's your
We can work that
good
out.
job. Yeah,
We'll work
thank
that
you. The more you don't wedge.
Greg posted a great video explaining what happened on his Facebook page. So check out his Facebook page and let's hear Greg say it in his own words.
So, here's our problem. Intermittent receiver power, just a little loose wire, one of these. And, yep.
On one of the big hits, the receiver power just died.
Off, on, off, yeah.
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
So,
Ice type.
electrical gremlins are pretty much the worst thing to have. Hardest thing to diagnose, most annoying thing to diagnose.
Most expensive.
Yeah.
Usually the most expensive,
And you can never be sure you fixed it.
right? You will wind up just replacing as many parts as you can until the problem goes away.
Cross your fingers.
Well, and that's another perfect example. Like, he taped everything. It's in a protected box. It's way deep
Shock
inside the
mounted.
robot. Shocks mounted. And just something started to give way. Like, what are you going to do?
Intermittent connection.
Yeah.
Terrible way to go.
That sucks. But you know what doesn't suck?
Huge versus for sure. Huge.
I love huge.
Huge is amazing.
It's so wonderful. I mean, look at it. For
It's
starters,
huge.
it's huge.
Yeah. It is huge.
And they basically put it together for the first time at the event.
I mean, they were cutting those wheels at the event.
Yeah.
There was UHMW all over the place.
And those are hand cut.
Yeah, those, every dimension on that is hand cut.
Yeah.
Not just the insides. Like, everything is a little
wonky.
a little
wonky.
janky.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure if it's clear on TV. It's just how huge really is.
they're what,
I think it's 40 inches.
40 inch?
40 inches.
No, you're right. They are 40 inch.
Yeah.
They're huge.
It's
Taller
pretty
than
large.
most children that came to the show to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that's okay. So yes, it's a new design to BattleBots, but it's not a new design in general. In fact, they built the middle one in that photo on the left 2 years ago, and they swept the competition at Motorama, which is a 30-pound event, the biggest one in the country in Pennsylvania, and they beat the likes of Jameson and Charles and and some of the other competitors that are here. Alexa, shut up! Rude.
So you were on a pretty good train there.
Yeah. Before I was rudely interrupted by Alexa. Wait.
Alexa, apologize.
So this isn't a new design for them. So they built this robot 2 years ago, but as a small 30-pound version. And they went to a competition called Motorama in Pennsylvania, and they swept the whole thing.
Which is like one of the biggest events in the country.
Yeah,
I think it is the biggest event.
I think it's second to Roby.
Well, for that
Right,
weight class.
but it's the biggest 30-pound event in the country. It's Jameson's there with a SawBlaze like robot. A couple of other teams that have other members. They have really serious, good robots. Heavy-duty vertical spinners, kind of bite forcey, and game-like robots. And this beat all of them, and no one knew what to do with it. So it's something to be concerned about. Just because, how do you fight it?
Right. How do you fight it?
I don't know.
I don't know either. We were hoping we wouldn't fight it.
I was thinking a rake.
That's your thing.
That's our gimmick. So I figured just put a stick out there and hope for the best.
Yeah, like a spear.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing, the proof that no one knows how to fight it is Sub-Zero first episode, right? They got wrecked by it with their little pinky fork that they tried to hold out.
They literally had to rebuild everything on that robot.
Yeah, that's not hyperbole. They literally, it was destroyed. And then free shipping, same kind of deal.
Right. So the first was a pneumatic flipper. Couldn't do anything to huge before it got wrecked. Free shipping is a pretty tough four-wheel drive lifter with Gary Jin driving.
Gary Jin, the driver. He's
and
basically the
couldn't
best
do
driver.
anything to huge.
Yeah.
It's like this thing's unstoppable.
Seems that way.
Seems that way.
Well, what would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah, what would you do?
I'd put 48-inch wheels on. On my robot. On Witch Doctor.
You gotta be huger than
You gotta be huger than huge.
Why did I think of that?
And then we could drive it upside down again. 48-inch wheels.
Season 4.
Alright, well,
Ponder that.
I'll think about it. What, so, Gnarly Nick 19 wants to know what Huge's wheels are made from.
Basically, cutting boards.
Yeah,
Right.
giant cutting boards.
Giant cutting
UHMW. Same stuff as your cutting board at home, but just giant pieces of it. And it's great.
Yeah, and really tough material because you saw a lot of people thought a big flamethrower would be the downfall of Huge because the wheels would just kind of melt and distort. But I mean, free shipping has the biggest flamethrower in the sport right now.
And it didn't do much to it.
No, it didn't do squat. And the thing about Huge is you can see it when it kind of stumbles around or gets kind of pushed on the side.
The wheels
It just goes and then back up and spinning and rips your face off.
Yeah.
It's kind of terrifying.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm super happy. Those are the kinds of things that we all want. Like something new that no one knows how to fight. Next season, they'll have some trouble, but at least so far, no one's been able to stop it.
It'll be like Tombstone where everybody has a Tombstone wedge. Everybody's going to have their huge attachment.
Right.
Which is, it's really an honor, to design something like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so general questions. Do the teams have any input over who their opponents are, or is that chosen by the producers?
And that comes to us from Wes Ashworth on Facebook.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say this is 100% chosen by producers.
Yeah. You don't get a fight of Minotaur and Tombstone as your first headline fight.
You don't want that fight.
By
wants
chance.
that.
Yeah.
And in fact, if they got it by chance, they'd probably try to figure out how to not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't choose to test a brand new design on Yeti.
Unstoppable object. Yeah.
They want good fights, so they're going to match up robots that they think are going to fight well against each other. They don't really want, quick knockouts. They want good, long, heavy-duty fights. And even Ice Wave versus Vanquish, they didn't expect Vanquish to literally be ripped in half. They expected Vanquish to be able to give Mark a run for his money and get under that bar and pop him up and have a good fight.
They want good TV, basically.
And with this new fight card format, it's not solely a win-loss record. So it's just because Minotaur has one loss, I mean, it's against Tombstone, so they really take that into account when they rank for the top 16.
Yeah, it's all weighted.
Wait, that's a good way to put it. Weighted.
Yeah, if we,
You lost to Bite Force,
I lost to Bite Force, who's
season 1 winner.
yeah, season 1 winner and highly ranked going into the season. So losing to them isn't so bad. But if you lose to Battle Royale Cheese, you're going to have a bad time. It's just the way it is. Alright, anything else?
Does HyperShock glow in the dark? Coming from Brian Rolfe on Facebook.
Okay, so it doesn't like glow in the dark by itself, but with a black light, it definitely does.
I would
And-
say it
and
glows
you're-
in the light.
Well, yeah, it just glows in general with any source of light, no matter how small. It just is very bright and aggressive. Even our suits, the pinstriping is all fluorescent. So with the black lights around the arena, they just light up. There's some good photos. Are we done?
No.
No?
Another question. Will Endgame end the game for Tombstone?
What kind of question is that? Like,
This guy must be
Okay.
an Endgame fan.
is this?
This is Kebo with a lot of B's on
It's
Instagram.
4 votes. First off, sir or ma'am, that's too many B's. Okay? And second, we're not going to tell you if Endgame and Tombstone fight.
You'll have to watch and see for yourself.
Yeah. Or if he ends the game.
That's a silly way to put it.
It's cheesy. I think
Good
that
job.
wraps it up. So next week, we'll have another episode. We'll do the next 10 episodes.
5.
5 episodes.
It's fine.
Right,
That's
fine.
fine.
It's fine.
We'll do the next 5.
We'll do the next 5. It's going to be great.
Which ones?
We'll
We hope that
Alright.
this is helping you get through the 2 weeks off for Shark Week. 2 weeks off for BattleBots is really tough. We've always been looking forward to BattleBots every Friday. It's a reason to get together and just watch fighting robots. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, so next week we'll have the next 5 episodes of the season. So give us your questions. If you want to know
Who's going to end Tombstone?
who's going to end Tombstone.
Don't ask us because
Yeah,
we can't tell you.
You can ask us. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, ask us your questions. Ask us technical questions. Ask us what happened behind the scenes. There's a lot going on at this event that either doesn't make it on camera or it's just too weird and esoteric for camera. And there's a lot of weird fights that end in weird ways that you need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, but people might not understand at home. That you need behind-the-scenes intimate footage.
I hardly understand. I need the intimate footage.
Me too.
All right.
We have to do our digging on Facebook and the internet.
Yeah.
Come up with the answer sometimes, but
Yeah. So yeah, send us your questions. Send it to HyperShock's Facebook or Instagram, or Witch Doctor's Facebook and Instagram. And you should definitely go check out Rotator and all their stuff. They have some great photos and content up. We'll see you next week.
thanks.
Bye.
Welcome to the Tale of the Tape.
Nailed it. We're done. I'm recording. Why? All right.
I can't
Hold
see what we're
recording.
doing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wait, what are we here doing?
I don't know. Are we recording?